All right. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the Legions. Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of the What You Been Watching podcast. I am your host, the V8 fueled, marvelous Mike Dudley. Followed as always by my co-host, cohort, and warboy.
Marcus Dudley, MD3, checking in on the YOU. What is going on out there in the wasteland? We are broadcasting live from the What You Been Watching studios right here in Tallahassee, Florida. You know, amongst the 7 highest hills, the rolling clay hills they are. You can find us on Instagram at What You Been Watching.
That's
Please
right.
write us in at What You Been Watching podcast at gmail.com. Where else can they find us, my brother?
They can find us online at facebook.com/Dudley Bros Podcast. Or, you know, we out here just trying to survive in the rubble that was once America. I'm fueled by gasoline and cigarettes now.
Yeah.
Selling cigarette butts for 30 cents a pop.
Michael likes to sell his cigarettes just like I like to buy them. One at a time. And overpriced. Anyways, what's going on with you though, man?
Oh, man. Do panic attacks count as living a good life?
You got something to worry about. So, glass a quarter full?
Because I don't know, man. I'm living, but I don't know if it's existing.
Yeah, there is a difference, man. There is a difference. I'm consuming air and taking up space, and yeah. But yeah, no, we'll get there. Man, it's been pretty good though, man. All things considered, the summer season is kicking up, and unfortunately, the box office is not rolling in like we wanted it to.
No.
Yeah.
I think we kind of talked about that a little bit on. I don't know if this is recorded pre or post the Fall Guy, but yeah, apparently that one was supposed to kick off summer blockbusters, and it did not do very well. And we're probably not going to help boost that up with this one we're talking about. But
yeah, unfortunately, it's been a sad trajectory, and so I guess we are truly waiting on the self-proclaimed Marvel Jesus to come save our box office woes. But yeah, no, as you can see, we are doing a very special episode of What You've Been Watching, an emergency broadcast, as it were.
That's right.
So we took the time out of our busy schedule to try to strike while this here proverbial iron was hot, while there was gas in the tank.
That's right. But before we do that, we want to send out a big shout out to Kesta for our intro music, Always Bright, as well as Mr. A1 Reality for our interlude music.
Yeah, if you're ever looking for custom beats or, you know, whatever you got, if you're fancy yourself a singer, a songwriter, or just want something to listen to while you study, or if you got a podcast that you want to get off the ground and you need some interesting flavors, you can find my man at a1reality.music@gmail.com. Send him an email, let him know what you're looking for. I promise you will not be disappointed with the quality.
Damn
the
right.
man is a sextuple threat.
Ooh.
He sings, he raps, he dances, he does beats.
He's a sheep shearer.
And
Stunt dick.
and
Like when they need just hanging dong in a movie, they call him a boy.
and a hell of a war rig driver.
That's right.
So there you go. An imperator, as it were. So, all right, well, we are going to dive into, again, a very special edition, a late broadcast. So we're going to try to do this on the fly, but we care about y'all, and we wanted you to hear our thoughts. This is going to be all about the Mad Max universe. We're going to really lock in on a Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga.
That's right.
And we're going to review it. So if you have not seen the movie, please go out, go help your local theater. They definitely need it. I know we say it in jest all the time, but go on Fandango. Your phone is pretty cool. You can just get your tickets, pick your seats, or even order popcorn and drinks ahead of time.
Right. You can just go. All you got to do is just show up, and it's ready for you, and you're good to go.
So you go ahead and do that. We'll wait here for just a second. Oh, what'd you think? Yeah, not pretty good.
That was a lot of money, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was well worth it.
Go support them, damn it. I know your couch is more comfortable. But anyway.
Go socialize. Be amongst the people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Breathe in the smells.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about Furiosa, and we're going to review it, so this is going to be spoiler heavy. So, again, if you haven't seen it, if you do truly want to go watch it, please come back and listen, because we would like to hear what you got to say, and we're curious if we're way off kilter here, way off basis.
Yeah.
And for real, write us in with Furiosa, a dumbass saga, and you can tell us how dumb we are. Or you could say, brilliance in art and speech. A What You Been Watching saga.
Dear Ash Faces.
Dear Ash Faces.
Here's my 5-point program on why you're wrong about Furiosa.
Yeah, please do. All right. Well, without further ado, ladies and, or what did he say? Lady and gentlemen.
That's right.
Start your engines. Ready, steady, and go. Yeah. So what'd you think, man?
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was not bad. More on him in a minute.
That's right.
So what'd you think, man?
Oh, man. Well, maybe we should give a little bit of basis about where we're coming from. Just so for those of you who have not seen it yet, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, is the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, and it tells the story of Imperator Furiosa and how she came to be the desert warrior priestess that she is.
How she, her tales of vengeance, where she got at the beginning of Mad Max Fury Road, how she got there, and how the events kicked off, kind of leading up to it, some of her character motivations and things, and just a deep dive into the backstory of all that is her. Starring one Anna Taylor-Joy.
That's right.
Who I think, Michael, slowly but surely working her way up to that wall of fame. Think about the witch.
Oh, I mean, she gets in just for the witch in and of itself, quite frankly.
She's working her way up. She's about one more. She's got to be. She does a lot of cool genre stuff.
Right.
She was in New Mutants.
I was going to say, when she did the New Mutants, she had that really rad, like, awful Russian accent.
Yeah, she's in the...
Hello, Demon Bear.
She's in The Northman as well.
She's pretty badass in that, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
What else is she in? She's been...
she's done some things.
She's been
Queen's Gambit, I know that. She was in... I actually liked her in that movie.
Yeah, actually.
I liked her in the movie.
Strangely enough, I've been kind of rewatching those later, but we'll touch on those later. I've been... those are... They finally all came onto the same streaming service. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to marathon. I'm just going to fall down that M. Night Shyamalan superhero universe.
The Shyamalanian twists, as it were. All right, we're way off basis. So Anna Taylor-Joy starring this movie, Furiosa, starring Anna Taylor-Joy, who's slowly, as we mentioned, climbing up the What You've Been Watching Wall of Fame.
That's right. Chris Hemsworth in awesome-looking prosthetics.
Who I owe an apology. We here at What You've Been Watching, at least this half of the table, will take ownership when I say something. I believe I made a comment recently. Oh, wait, it hasn't aired yet. But you'll hear me say a comment where, again, this is a special episode, so too much inside baseball. But at one point, you're going to hear me say a comment revolving around Heath Ledger and how he was one Brokeback Mountain movie away from being Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And I want to take that back because I realized Chris Hemsworth actually has a pretty good amount of range. And I liked him a lot in this movie. So I want to walk that back, and I want to apologize to not only Heath Ledger, but to you, big dog Chris Hemsworth. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry. I was wrong, and I'm sorry for yelling.
It's all right, mate. Wallaby, didgeridoo.
Yeah, whatever they
Boomerang.
say. He seems like a good dude, though, man. Actually. So.
He does. I know you and I have kind of talked about it a little bit, but he seems to be one of those celebrities that enjoys his celebrity. Like, he doesn't treat it like a curse or like the world's biggest burden. Like, I think he kind of gets that, like, he probably has one of the coolest jobs in the world, and he's I don't want to say overpaid for it, but like, he makes a lot of money doing something that most people don't get the privilege to do, and I don't think he takes that lightly.
I would agree with that. Again, not knowing the guy personally yet.
Right.
But I just, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I got to admit it. So, sorry. Taking posthumous shots at my guys, and, it's wrong with me.
Meanwhile, he's like, sometimes I just have to hammer a sack full of puppies to feel something.
I know.
I have so much darkness inside me.
I know. I hope not. But anyways, all right, we're getting sidetracked. That was my apology.
Why he sounds like Chad Chelios, I have no idea.
I don't know either. I don't know. That was a you thing, but I wasn't going to stop you.
What's this then?
So yeah, I liked the movie a lot. I really, and not to just to expand upon that, I think I potentially liked it more than you. Or you at least seem to be more critical upon our initial viewing.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, part of it is I think that I loved Fury Road so much that I might have set the bar a little bit higher than for most movies going into them. You know what I mean? Like, usually I try to go in no expectations, just let the movie wash over me, whatever. I think maybe I might have elevated this one a little bit in my mind. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't also fall short of even basic expectations. But I think maybe the reason the reason I feel so strongly about it as I do is because I did really, really want to like it.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes it is like that, though, and I appreciate you saying that, just being like, maybe it was some of my expectations, but even that being said, I can still feel disappointed even when I try to retroactively keep those in check. I will say this, and it wasn't quite what I expected. It's told in 5 chapters. The first chapter each revolving around as as Furiosa ages. She's probably about like 16 by the end of it, something like.
No, as far as I know, it ends. I mean, the last shot is literally her loading up the Immortan Joe's wives into the rig. So I think it's supposed to follow right up until she...
like moments before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I wasn't... They kind of do a weird camera trick, and I wasn't sure if they were jumping to that point, like... Because they do the black and white, like her sneaking people out. And
right.
I wasn't sure if it was like that's a time jump or whatever. But either way... yeah, so it's told in 5 chapters. Each one is titled something kind of vague, but also really spot on. So the first chapter be the pole of inaccessibility, and it starts with the lore of the Mad Max world. There's a green place, this garden of abundance, this place of abundance, the green place they call it, and it's in the center of Australia, and it's protected by what are the tribe lives? The
Volvarians.
No. Vuvalini.
Volvalina. That's
Volvalini.
It. The Volverines.
Yeah. The Volvalini. Yeah. And so it's the tribe of many mothers or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so...
it's basically this super feminist... feminist in terms of like all the leaders are women and, you know, they sort of run the tribe. It's very femme-centric.
Yeah. Whereas whatever your role is to play is what your role is to play for everybody. I forget what that's called. It's not a harem. I know that. That word came to my mind. I was like, I know that's incorrect. But either way, so like everyone has a role to play. If you're like the medicine, if you can teach the children,
it's like
medicine.
a commune.
Commune. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. Fucking like a brothel. Like, get your mind out of the gutter, Marcus. And so that's kind of like the basic premise. It kind of kicks off with raiders or whatever gang finding the place of abundance, and Furiosa then runs down to sabotage their bikes so they can't run off and go tell whoever their leader is, like, hey, we found this lush green place with horse and deer and fruit everywhere and lush, water, and it looked like they had solar panels and stuff at the tribe. Mm-hmm. And so she goes down to sabotage...
Place of abundance.
Yeah, she goes down to sabotage their bikes and ends up being kidnapped. And then the mom, who I forget, the mom's name was Mary Jabasa, I think.
Yeah.
Not the actress, I'm saying the character's name.
Right, the character. Yeah, I forget what it was, but yes, basically Furiosa's adopted mom.
Yeah, or maybe biological, but they don't really explain. She's the one that certainly takes ownership.
Yeah, she's taken on the mother role of raising Furiosa. I don't know. I think she is adopted, but
yeah, but so then she hears the whistle that Furiosa blows during her kidnap, and then she hauls ass to go bust these dudes in the head, and it's fun. So that's kind of what kicks off the whole thing, and so that's the first chapter, kind of. Which,
by the way, that was one of the first problems I ran into, because the whistle that she's blowing in trying to signal the rest of the tribe to come rescue her or whatever is a bosun's mate whistle. And
what whistle?
A bosun's mate. It's literally used on ship to signal like use different pitches and different chords in order to signal a certain type of whistle is for lunch. A certain type of whistle is for all hands on deck. A certain type of whistle is for... It's one of those old school sailor things that they use.
And what's it? A bosun's?
A bosun's whistle.
Bosun's whistle. Learn something new today. What you've been watching. Anyways, go ahead.
But the way she's using it is she's tweeting on it like it's a referee whistle, and that's not how it works at all. In fact, it's really, really hard to use a bosun's whistle because you almost have to play it like a trumpet. Like it sits on the cusp of your lip, basically, and you have to blow into it like a trumpet, basically.
Okay.
And then it has this flat piece on the top, and how you position your hand on it and squeeze in different areas is how you tune the pitch. And she's just tweeting on like, I'm like, that's not that sound. I know that sound, but we're moving on.
Yeah.
So immediately I was just like, there's no truth in this art.
You sound like Dad, freaking historical accuracy. Yeah, anyways, I guess, look, we can nitpick it apart for stuff like that. I typically just try to roll with certain things. Like, all right, she has a whistle. The device, whatever. I don't really care. But I did learn something today, so I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, though, we are not going to do an actual plot summary, but for the sake of just kind of explaining some of the basic stuff, we're going to kind of fly through it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you've already seen the movie, hopefully, if you're listening. So, chapter 1 is the pole of inaccessibility, and that's where ultimately, I've said ultimately like 5 times.
Sure, it's okay.
I got to stop. That is where Furiosa is initially captured, and then it's the second chapter is called Lessons from the Wasteland, and that it opens up. It's some really graphic scenes where, Furiosa is then forced to watch her mom be tortured to death and things like that. And that's when this second chapter kicks off, is where she is officially Chris Hemsworth as Dementis, I guess, slave or kind of prized possession, like his daughter in a weird way.
He takes her on as sort of this pseudo daughter, yet also I kind of get the feeling like he's just keeping her around until she becomes of age.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too.
They never really explicitly say it, but there's very much a hint of it. Initially he's trying to placate her and get on her good side, and like, all you got to do is just tell me where you live and I'm going to take you right there, and we're gonna meet your mom and dad, and I'm going to hand you over, and everything's going to be good. And Furiosa's like, that shit ain't happening.
It's probably so embedded in who their code is. Like, you don't tell anyone outside of this place where this place is.
Right.
You take that to the grave with you from an early age.
Right.
And so
yeah. Because it's vital. It's important. And when he learns that that's not going to happen, Furiosa's mom tries to go on a rescue mission. It doesn't go very well, and then she ends up getting tortured to death. And it's not graphic, but they imply a lot. Like they imply that her method of dispatch was very gruesome and probably very violating.
Yeah. It's almost like a witch burning mixed with a crucifixion kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So but we'll leave that there. And the point of it is, it didn't end well for Mama. And then Furiosa became Lord Dementes, prized possession, and that's where the lessons of the wasteland kick in. And eventually, Chris Hemsworth wants to obtain power, and so he learns of this place called the Citadel, where guess who resides there?
Immortan,
the Immortan Joe. And he goes there just rolling up in a badass motorcycle chariot. There's like a chariot, obviously, and then attached to it are 3 motorcycles, which he steers with like leather straps, which is apparently taken from like some really old school policeman's ball photo way back in the day.
Really?
Yeah. And so he was steering it with like leather straps or whatever, which is
cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool imagery.
Yeah.
And that's how he would present himself, as some kind of Ben-Hur, like,
champion of the
people,
like I am Spartacus kind of thing. But really, he's just manipulating people. Like, we constantly see him like, you go sacrifice yourself, or like he'll just shoot his own men in order to sell the image of his tyranny or ferocity or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just his men are only as useful to him as much as his foresight can foresee. You know what I mean? Like what have they done for me lately?
I was just thinking about Janet Jackson. I said, what is...
Completely unrelated.
Yeah, completely unrelated. It was my squirrel-powered brain. But I said, you know what? Is Janet Jackson in the soundtrack? And then I was somewhere else.
Remember the poster where she was standing with her arms up above her head and she had that...
It's a Rolling Stone cover.
Yeah, and the dude was cupping her boobs from behind. Mm-hmm. You know what the dude's name was?
No.
Lucky Bastard.
It's a good joke. I like that one. So eventually Dementis wants to raid the Citadel, and he finds out very quick that Immortan Joe has people that are willing to die for him willingly, that would gladly give their life to go into Chrome Valhalla.
It reminded me of that scene you remember in Conan the Barbarian, where he meets Tulsa Doom, and James Earl Jones is like, what is the riddle of steel, boy? What is steel compared to flesh? And he literally points to one of his followers on the wall, on the rampart, and just goes, come to me, child, come to me. And she just jumps off and splats on the pavement. And he's like, that is power, boy. That is what beats steel, the power of faith. Very much Immortan Joe's gig.
Good analogy. Because Immortan Joe says, all right, I challenge you to a battle then. One of your best versus one of my best. And he says, all right, well, Chris Hemsworth's going, you pick him. You pick which one. And he takes the time, and they all look the same, and he points, you. And one guy steps forward, no, you to the right. And he kind of looks at him, gives him the nod, and he's like, does the chrome spray paint to the teeth.
A little meth silver spray paint, whatever it is.
Yeah, he looks over to Immortan Joe, who they're willing to obviously die for. He gives him the thumbs up, witness me.
Grabs the two
thunder sticks and just kamikaze, boom.
Jumps like 90 feet from a bridge onto a truck and just blows up.
Well, he just slides down these two like ropes that are together, kind of uses the
like a zip line.
Yeah, like a zip line, and then just off down and just sacrifice. And then he realizes, oh, I'm in over my head on this one.
Right.
And so this is one of the aspects of the movie I did like is, and maybe people don't, but it kind of explains some of the wasteland politics. Mm-hmm. You then quickly learn that obviously Dementis wants this power. And there was a scene earlier where he runs into one of Immortan Joe's war boys, who's obviously not all there. And
well, he had a fucking arrow.
He had an arrow in his head. Yeah, yeah.
Is this Valhalla? He's like, it could be.
Could be. And he finds out about the red flares, and somebody shoots one on the ground, and it's a cool scene of him being engulfed in this giant red mist, and you can it's a cool foreshadowing of like, oh.
Yeah, it's almost like his baptism as a warlord. Like he emerges from it completely changed with a new perspective in terms of like, oh, I could be more than just some like marauding bandit horde.
There's more to life than scavenging.
Yeah.
And so his conflict with Immortan Joe realizes, like, if I'm really going to eat at the, as we like to say in college football, at the Bama table, if you're to eat at the Bama table, which means...
Roll Tide!
Yeah, he's going to have some leverage, and he's not going to be able to take this place by force. And even if he did, there's nothing for him to rule then afterwards, because everyone's dead, more than likely. It's cost-risk analysis, you know what I mean?
Right. And I can win this war, but if nobody's there to service me or be be part of my kingdom, then what? Essentially, I'm a man of a single castle.
Yep. And so he then decides to Dementis then decides to go take Gastown, which is this is the interesting part I liked, where there's pretty much the Citadel, which Immortan Joe runs, provides the food and water for Gastown and Bullet Town, and they have a three-way trading system where you give me bullets, we'll give you this. You give us, or munitions and
cabbages and potatoes, and we'll give you
and water,
crude oil and gasoline.
Yep. And so there's this three-way bartering system where you can't run your bullet, manufacturings without the gasoline to power the machines and the oil for the ball bearings and this and that.
But you can't feed your employees and your workers without our cabbages and without our potatoes, without our water. You can't
protect any of it without our munitions.
Bullets.
So,
right. Yeah. It is. I never thought of that. It's a weird, like, rock, paper, scissors, but they're all working in unison.
Yeah, and so I really like that aspect of it. And so Chris Hemsworth then decides, well, I'm going to go take Gastown then, which, I'm going to fast forward through a lot of stuff because, again, it's not the plot recap, but he does get Gastown. Mm. And he does seize it, and so then eventually he's at the table with Immortan Joe. And that's kind of what it is, and that's kind of where the movie starts to take place. And Chris Hemsworth then says, hey, I run Gastown, so you're going to have to deal with me. And Immortan, but we want more. You're going to have to up our potato. We want double everything, and you get half. And Immortan Joe kind of like, okay, we'll give you 1/4 more potatoes and 1/3 more this, but I want your your biological mechanic,
organic mechanic,
right?
Yeah. Basically, like the doctor.
Yeah, I want your organic mechanic, and he decides to take Furiosa, and she was quick to snitch on Chris Hemsworth. He's like, "That's my daughter. No, you can't have her." And Immortan Joe asks her,
he's like, "No, he's not.
Is that your dad?" And I'm like, "Hell no! Get me the fuck out of here." Which, more on that in a minute. That kind of does some of the negative things I didn't like about the movie. But
okay.
And that's kind of what takes place. The third chapter then goes into the stowaway, where in order to avoid being the third chapter is called the stowaway. And in order to not become one of the wives, which is pretty much just a breeding program for Immortan Joe, to try to have heirs. And if you don't provide an heir, after 3 strikes, you're out, and you become what they call a milker, which all you do is then just provide breast milk. Call it mother's milk. And so in order for her to avoid being one of that, she stows away. She escapes somebody who had one of Immortan Joe's sons, who had less than thrilling plans for Furiosa, let's just say.
Yeah.
For a young Furiosa, let's just say. And she decides to then go disguise herself.
Played by the wrestler Nathan Jones, by the way.
Is that who that was?
That is Nathan Jones.
Shout out to Debbie's underrated performance of the week.
I mean, I don't know. He played a big, dumb Australian, so I don't know if it's a stretch for him, but...
Good point. I thought I was trying to give you the layup for the WWE, but you wouldn't take it. So she disguises herself as a boy and a mechanic to then work away from everybody to kind of hide into the crowd, and she begins to stow away on one of the greatest, her Obi-Wan Kenobi, as it were, her Qui-Gon Jinn, depending on what point in the trilogy you're at. But this gentleman named, what was it? Praetorian Jack or something like that?
Yeah, Praetorian Jack.
Yeah, Praetorian Jack, yeah.
Who basically he basically serves as a Mad Max stand-in in terms of, she hasn't met Mad Max yet, but he's very much of that ilk in terms of just... He's a survivor. He's very crafty. He's very knowledgeable.
Understands the wasteland and what you have to do.
Yeah, very, very tactical, but also not necessarily cruel, but very stoic in terms of, like, he's not going to let other people or his emotions with other people get in the way of his own survival. Like, well, if they can't hang, then they can't hang, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Not let his emotions get in the way of his own survival. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very calculated. Well done, sir. Very Praetorian Jack of you, or however his name is.
Talking about PJ?
PJ's. So yeah, and that becomes a story of her, a stowaway. She begins to learn under Praetorian Jack or whatever.
That's how she learns how to run the war rig and sort of the rules of the road. I mean that very literally in terms of, like, preserve gasoline, this is how you fight off bandits, this is how you survive, you know?
Yeah.
And he basically gives her the crucial advice of make yourself, what does he say? Make yourself indispensable.
To Immortan Joe.
Right. Like,
and you'll survive.
Right, exactly. Like, the people who die here are the people who can afford to be cast aside. But if you put yourself in a position to where you are crucial to the entire operation, you can at least live for one more day. Until someone supersedes you or you fail horribly, but...
Yeah, and which is sound
But at least
advice.
it's one more day.
And so, yeah, in the process, there's a really cool sequence that takes place. And this was one of the highlights of the movie, in my opinion, is ultimately they go on a run to Gastown or whatever. Mm-hmm. And... you can tell in the background that the narrator says something along the lines of, like, Dementis is not a very good manager.
Right.
And so he's starting to have other groups of his guys that used to be underneath his wing kind of splinter off, and you run into the Octoboss, who I thought was cool as hell. He was one of the goons earlier hanging out with
Dementis.
Yeah, he was. Nah, I wouldn't goon him. That's an insult to goons. He was higher up than a goon. He was one of his lackeys, but.
He was very lackey-ish.
Yeah. But gooning is, you gotta be a little lower tier.
Yeah. I don't know. He had too much charisma and personality for goonage.
But also not enough.
Also, yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
He was like B+ goonage.
Yeah, too high up the ladder to be a proper goon.
Yeah. Like
that indispensableness.
Like A- goonage, B+ lackeyage.
Right. That indispensableness we were talking about as a goon. Gotta not have it. So yeah, he does a siege on one of the runs, and that was when Furiosa was a stowaway, and she really proves herself in the moment, and a really cool battle unfolds with the what was it called? Not the Molly Whopper, the Bomby Knocker.
Oh, the Bummy Knocker.
The Bomby Knocker.
Yeah. Which is basically, it's basically a bunch of, like, flails on chains just spinning on a drill bit at the ass end of the rig, which. Why they didn't have that, or I don't know. Like, that was another one of the things I really bumped up against. I was like, well, either that really, really works or it really, really doesn't. Like, it's such a specific weapon.
I guess. I mean,
essentially, you have these bunch of flails spinning around, acting like a boat propeller, basically, just chopping up anything that gets in the way. But it's only if you come directly from the ass end of the rig. Like, if you go around it, then it doesn't matter.
I guess, but I mean, there's avoidable. I mean, you can only do the best you can on a. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. There goes Michael's trying to toe the line of hater ass you, Ian. But, no, you're not.
It was one of those like I understand that it looked cool for the movie, but in practical sense, it doesn't make any sense. Like there's so many other better ways you could spend those resources and that energy. You know, like the amount of force and fuel and battery power it would take to make something like that. You could just put it into the truck and just make the fucking war rig faster or stronger or...
The idea behind it...
And it's so easily, like, bypassable. Like, all you got to do is just like, okay, well, just don't drive directly into the boat propeller and I'm good.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think the goal... I don't know. It was kind of worked in tandem where you are supposed to spear it and pull it in and then turn it on.
Maybe, but...
It was kind of what it was supposed to be. If you have a big vehicle, you tag it, and then you hook it with a harpoon, and then you turn it on as it gets close, and you whop it, and you would lose your spear in the process, but by that point, I don't think it would matter, because you're going to demolish whatever's behind you.
Sure.
So I think that was it in execution. But it did line up for a really cool shot where this Octoboss had this really cool... It was almost like octopus tentacles in a kite.
Yeah, he was basically in like a paraglider. Yeah. Or whatever, with big... parachute, push, fan, whatever.
Yeah,
and
whatever
then behind it had these like awesome octopus tentacles, or like looked like a Chinese kite or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And when he got the tail end of the bombing knocker, just watching it twist in the wind as it goes was really cool imagery. So I could appreciate that shot a lot.
Yeah, it was one of those. I think that they just had those two things so that they could have that really cool shot of
cool.
So it works in terms of like walking away from the movie like, oh, that was a really cool shot. But if you really break it down for a half second, you're like, well, it doesn't. None of those make sense.
If I'm gonna see a movie about a mutated frog fighting a demonic bear, at some point you're gonna have to introduce what made the bear demonic and what made the frog. You know what I mean? Like it's just the element. You're getting to a point that we can all see coming. So to me, it was just a byproduct of that. So I didn't really bump into it.
I don't know what movie you're describing, but. Write that shit down. Let's sell that right now.
Patent pending. I said something about it.
Coming this summer. Demonic Bear versus Mutant Frog.
Yeah.
Starring Liam Neeson, Idris Elba, John Leguizamo, Blair Williams.
Anyway.
Patrick Duffy?
Yeah. Hey, Patrick Duffy can always jump in a movie. So ultimately, that's to move on to the fourth chapter. She learns the ways of the road via him. And then Homeworld is the fourth chapter. And that sees Chris Hemsworth. There's a funny part where he rolls up and he says, they go to Gastown and he shuts it down. He's like, no, you can't. My people here everyone thinks it's my fault.
Right.
Which I want to speak on that in a minute, but just for the sake of the plot of the story I'm trying to fly through. Chris Hemsworth is losing more. His management skills suck, you can see.
Right.
And so
the people are slowly turning.
He's not very good.
Well, because, I mean, he kept promising, like, oh, I'm going to give you double rations, and I'm going to give you double this, and more. And then when you don't deliver on that because the resources aren't there or because you're just not the manager you think you are, eventually the employees go like, hey, dude, we were promised double rations, and here I am eating rotten potatoes again. Like...
Yeah.
Just raw. Like, just rotten-ass potatoes.
So his goal in this process is to announce to everyone the three, as we mentioned earlier, the Lord of Gastown is Chris Hemsworth, the Lord of the Citadel is Immortan Joe, and then Bullet Town, you haven't met whoever runs that. But he says, I want
the Bullet Farmer.
The Bullet Farmer, yeah. He said, I want everybody to meet at 3 p.m. Well, in that process, you would leave your place unattended, and I guess he told the Bullet people a different time. So he went over there and stole Bullet Farm from them and raided that. So now he's in control of both, but at the same time, Furiosa and what's his name?
Praetor Jack.
Yeah, come to pick up a delivery for
Gastown. Yeah.
No, for Bullet
Farm. Yeah, Bullet Farm.
Sorry, I'm mixing up my thing. And so a daring escape happens, and she is recaptured, unfortunately, in what is, again, another very cool sequence. One of the better sequences there. And gets captured again. And this is how we find out how she loses her arm. It gets mangled by a 6-wheeled monster truck that Chris Hemsworth drives, which is just an absolute monstrosity. And then from there, the 5th chapter is Beyond Vengeance. Guess what? She escapes, and she wants to seek vengeance on none other than Dementis.
I got my robotic arm. I got a war rig. I got 6,000 rounds of ammunition. Let's fucking go.
That's right. And so that's kind of the movie in a nutshell. And so we can get past the plot points. Now you can kind of follow what we're at. We're going to jump around a lot, but that's ultimately the movie in 5 chapters. So, Michael, pick any one of those starting points and just tell me what you think. What did you like? What didn't you like?
Okay, so I really did like, I think Anna Taylor-Joy did, I don't want to say a great job, but she did as good of a job as she could have given what I think was a really disjointed script. I think Chris Hemsworth was perfectly great and calculating, and I think his charisma, as far as not trying to be a sympathetic villain, but
he's not.
But a villain where, like, in a little bit you can kind of see what he's going for. Like, you understand his main purpose, you understand his plot, his thinking. You may not agree with it, but in a world where the whole, populace is falling apart and it's dog eat dog, like, you at least kind of understand, like, okay, I get it. Like, he just wants to have it all. It's human greed brought to the forefront. Like, well, I could just be in charge of Gastown, or I could just be in charge of Bullet Farm, but, like, I want it all. If I don't have the Citadel as well, then what do I really have?
Right.
Like, so yeah, he could have had a sustainable society if he had just been happy with his role in that. Like, he could have just completely run Gastown and just lived or died by his merits there, but as is human nature, he wanted more. He wanted, why shouldn't I be ruler of all as opposed to just of this one city, So had he not aspired for his own glory or to be to be the person in charge of everything, then, like, he might have actually changed the world. But unfortunately, human greed and ego gets in the way, and he decides to make war on everybody.
I think part of it, and this is the very ending scene of the movie, explains a lot about his character motivation. And it's implied that he says something about his family being stripped away from him, and that's why he wanted Furiosa as a daughter. And once he realized that he's broken and there's no putting himself back together, he just went off the rails. He's just like, yep, he'll never be satisfied, because the one thing he could potentially own it all. He could have succeeded and also own it all. Guess what? If one is too many, 1,000's never enough. Exactly. Situation. You know what I mean? So
holy shit, that got really real for me.
Yeah, and that's and so I think that's what it was. He's just broken. It's you can do this till there's never going to be enough, and then you're going to sit around your empty castle and be like, well, shit, now I got everything and I'm still miserable. And they explain that in the very end when he's saying to Furiosa, like, you're no different. It's kind of a little bit
like, essentially it ends with, spoiler alert, she gets her revenge. She ends up capturing Dementis and getting him on his knees in the middle of the desert. She tracks him for like 2 days, whatever. And he just tells her, like, I know what's in your heart. It's revenge. It's a desire for justice in the world. But here's the deal. Even if you kill me, it's not going to bring everything that you lost back. It's not going to bring your mother back. It's not going to, bring you back to your home. And so even 30 seconds after you put a bullet in my brain, you're still going to be standing in the middle of the desert, surrounded by people that want to kill you and take what's yours. And so what's the point?
And he says, because there was a joke about hope earlier, and he was saying that you're not fueled by hope. You're no different than me. You are fueled by hatred. Mm-hmm. Believe me. He's like, I know my own. He's like, which kind of implies, like, I killed the people that killed my wife or took my wife from me. I've had my vengeance. And guess what? All it did was fuel me more. The hatred never went away. So Furiosa is a big ass hater. I will say, though, I thought there was a missed opportunity. I wanted to see more Furiosa with Dementis.
Sure.
Truly. Mm-hmm. It was fine with the Morton Joe, and I guess for plot purposes, I don't know how the plot would unfold otherwise. Like, I didn't take time to be like, if this, then this. I didn't rewrite the movie. I just felt like that was the relationship I was most interested in.
You know,
with her and Dementis. And I thought that there could have been a bigger build for her to not only do the long con. I thought that maybe she could begin to understand Dementis in some way about like, oh, maybe his family is just broken and maybe I could be this. And then, oh, I'm just going to sell you to Immortan Joe.
Right.
Just cause, which they kind of just fast forward all that. Oh, yeah, that's my prized possession. He's like, well, I want her. Okay, take her.
Right.
It means I get to be king of Gastown. All right, cool. I'll take it.
Right.
Right. So I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, and maybe they could understand each other more, and not in like this slow hate of like I'm going to tolerate you. I have all the time in the world. It's like the saying on 9/11 was like America has to be right every day. Whoever their enemies are, they only have to be right one day.
Right. Right.
And that's kind of one of those situations where it's like I'll be on my best behavior, you can keep your guard up, and I promise you I won't try when your guard is up, but the second you get to slipping, I only have to be right once about the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I thought there was a little bit of a missed opportunity there. One, because I just enjoyed Chris Hemsworth being on the screen. I thought he was a lot of fun to watch.
I think he was probably the best in this. I mean,
underrated performance.
As much as I loved Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth really made some bold choices and swung for the fences on this one. I think a little bit. One of my problems is that Anya Taylor-Joy was trying to play it too close to the Charlize Theron character.
And I think that was asked of her, in all fairness. Like, that was her whole thing, was like they came from a ballet background and their movements were very...
Sure, and again, I think you're right on that. I think that there was a lot of script constraints on that in terms of like, well, Charlize Theron's Furiosa would act in this way, so we need you to do the same, And so I think she was very limited in her acting choices, where like Chris Hemsworth really had the freedom to explore all the different ranges of his character and sort of his history and his motivations and his facial tics and all the things that give him personality, whereas Anya Taylor-Joy was very much like, I got to play it like Charlize Theron.
Which I think she does an incredible job.
Sure.
I didn't ever feel like this is a different character. I very early on when she's formed, but by the end of it, I was like, I see fully. I'm convinced that this person that I watched on screen has become the Furiosa that
turns into the person that I'm already familiar with.
I had zero disconnect with on that.
Right. But again, I think it kind of put her character on railroad tracks, whereas like Chris Hemsworth was a little bit more free range. He has a little bit, because we've never seen his character before, so he has that freedom to explore and sort of plumb the depths of loving the character, hating the character, all of his like little quirks and idiosyncrasies,
No, I agree with that, and he definitely got lost in the prosthetic nose and the crazy, the one crazy eyeball he had. Mm-hmm. He put in some contacts that kind of just widened up the pupils just a little bit, and you could tell he really had fun with that. And the joy of all of these things, and I'm going to quote not Frank Miller, geez, it's the Dark Knight writer, George Miller. I was watching a video that we had posted on our Facebook channel. Mm-hmm. And ultimately he was saying like conflict arises from the fundamental differences in the characters and what you stand for, this one cannot stand for. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying earlier, I wanted to see Furiosa do the long con situation. She does do that, but she does it with Immortan Joe, and it just takes a second movie to be like, oh, I've climbed my way through the ranks for all of this to get close to you. Right. And while I do want to see home for myself, the whole symbolic thing of her having the stars tattooed on her arm, and then that arm gets ripped off. Which,
by the way, I thought that in some way that was going to come back. I mean, essentially, Furiosa tattoos on her arm the astrological signs or the star map. The star map, in order to find her way back to the green place, her home, whatever. And so I thought, oh, eventually she's going to lose that arm, and then Immortan Joe's going to find it, or Dementis is going to find it and be like, now I have the map. And they never pay it off. She literally just gets the arm ripped off, and the tattoo never pays off. Essentially, they end up just following her to the green place anyway because she tries to go there. And so it's just like, well, why did we have the whole tattoo arm thing happen anyway? Like, what? it was a plot point that never went anywhere. And from
I disagree.
from a writer perspective, like if somebody's going to tattoo a map on their body, that has to come into play. It's Chekhov's gun, you know. If you show a gun on the mantelpiece in the first act, by the third act somebody has to use it, and they just totally disregard it. They just kick the gun into the woods and nobody pays attention to it.
That is a fair point, and I can't disagree with you. The only thing I can do is offer a different perspective, because the way you said that, you're 100% right. And so the only other way you could kind of reframe it is it's just a symbolic thing, in the sense of, in this process of becoming this new person, I've lost that, and you almost have to bail on the idea. It's like this whole thing is, are you motivated by hope or are you motivated by hate? Well, you got your hope chopped off. Your hope of going home and finding it was chopped off. So what truly motivates you then?
I'll buy that.
So there was a way for them to be like, oh, we have this map to the green place from this girl's arm, which she left, which would have been a stretch because it was mangled by a giant tire. So like, I get, that would have been more of a stretch. But
still,
for me,
like they could use it like an incomplete map. Like, oh, we know we can only get so far, and then after that, we don't know where we're going.
So we need her, yeah.
Right.
That would be a different movie, but I do understand your point, though. But it was, to me, it was more symbolic of just the character losing, like, oh, this was, and that, which fuels her motivation to then return with new people. Of like, even if her whole thing about planting the seed, she was given this peach seed at the beginning of the movie by her mother, saying, plant this when you get home. No matter how long it takes, you get back here. You get back here, you plant the seed. And with this peach, even if you can't bring it back, which she ends up planting the seed inside of Chris Hemsworth, which is a fate worse than death, as an organic tree grows out of him.
I gotta say,
just to finish the thought, then we'll talk. But yeah, but if you can't do that, then her goal in Mad Max Fury Road was then to liberate more people as she was taken, to undo what has done to her. To undo what was done to her on a much larger scale. To be like,
right,
I may have lost my opportunity if I just stay here, but I can still, quote unquote, plant the seed by returning people to somewhere free. So
yeah.
But anyways, talk about
So the final scene, like the final Chris Hemsworth fate, like they kind of play around with it. Like the narrator comes in and is like, some people say that she shot him in the head and left his body buried in the desert, and then some people say that she dragged him for 40 miles behind her car, which is a
very violent scene. How he killed
Praetor Jack.
Praetorian Jack.
Yeah. Just literally dragging him around and having dogs chase after him and nip at his heels. It's actually, funny enough, that's taken from classic mythology. That's exactly what happened to, I believe it was Hector in the Odyssey. He was dragged behind Achilles' chariot and had the dogs nip at his heels.
Oh, man.
So
cold-blooded stuff, man.
Yeah. Anyway, so final scene is Chris Hemsworth with a literal peach tree growing out of his torso. He's fed by the tree, but also it's keeping him alive. Like it's this really fucked up Roger Corman-esque sort of fate.
Yeah. I don't even know.
She comes through and she's like, "This is our first harvest," and plucks a peach and hands it directly in front of his face, and he's looking up at it like, and she just takes a big bite of it.
Yeah, she brings it to the wives or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a fate worse than death, just about, but he certainly deserves it. Especially at the end of the movie when it's a little bit Joker Batman in the sense of like, I was you, I had a family, I understand all the rage you have,
right.
But like, you're no different than me kind of thing. One push and you're just here with me. So there's no reasoning with you in this moment. If you're going to kill me, do it, because there's no reasoning. You want your family back, I can't give them back to you. Even you killing me won't do that. She's like, I kept pistol whipping him. I want them back. Even if I could give them back to you, I won't. But I get it. I get your motivation. I'm you. So I understand why you're here. But it's a little Batman Joker-y kind of, and it was, but...
I mean, it is in terms of, he makes the point of, you are fueled by hate. There's no amount of revenge. Like, you're not going to be able to get the revenge you want. You're never going to be able to get the person that killed your mom or left you broken and traumatized. There's no recovery from that. You are just now living with your trauma. You are who you are now. So you can either torture me.
He said, I have a high tolerance for pain.
Right, yeah. And he basically says that there's nothing you can do to recover what was lost from you. And so here's what you can do. Instead of shooting me in the forehead and seeing the pain in my face, it's much more satisfying to shoot your prisoner from behind the head so that they never expect it. And then
So one more small bit of torture before they go.
Right. And she looks him dead in the eyes like, no, I want to look you in the face when I turn your head into a canoe, basically.
Yeah. I like that final sequence made up for a lot of some missed opportunity in terms of character motivation. So I really appreciate it. I don't know if the movie works without that final scene, to be honest with you.
There is a little bit of her exacting the perfect revenge.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit heavy-handed. It's a little bit ham-fisted.
Possibly.
But
George Miller's whole goal is when he first did Mad Max, became really popular in like Japan and stuff like that. It's because I could tell you the story even if you don't speak the language.
Right.
And so if that is his goal, I think he did a pretty good job.
Right. Yes, especially I think he perfected it in Fury Road, but essentially if you look at the Mad Max Saga, it is very much told in a visual style. Like, you could watch that movie with the sound off and still have a really good idea of what's going on.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like you wouldn't be completely lost in the plot. You might miss some nuances and a little bit of subtleties, but essentially the story structure is very visual.
Yeah. And so you got to respect him for that. He is a master of his craft.
For sure.
That's why Mad Max is considered a samurai by a lot. But so before anything else, I think you just want to talk about hammer some points home before we get into the larger Mad Max.
Yeah.
Mad Max. The larger Mad Max world.
Just again, there was a few things that missed for me on this movie. Number one was there was some really, really bad CGI.
Agreed.
And especially in a world where we had seen Mad Max Fury Road and it was mostly all practical effects and very much moving working parts. In order for them to resort to CGI, especially bad CGI, just it took me out of the movie in a big bad way. Like, it was so noticeable that it I don't know, like it made me stop. It made me pause. And in this type of movie, all I want to do is just be taken on an adventure and taken out of my head and just let me see some shit that I have never seen before. And then to resort to CGI where it's like, oh, well, I see how the sausage is made on that one.
Right. I mean, there's a fair amount of CGI in Fury Road.
But it's
I get what you're saying, though. Largely, it's pretty practical.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I agree with you on that.
Like, even in Mad Max Fury Road, when they use the sandstorm, you know, it's this big digital effects extravaganza. At least then it was so big and so epic that, you know, cars are flying away and, you know, being lifted off the ground and tossed and exploding, and cars are falling onto each other and killing people, and there's people getting ripped off and sucked into the vortex. At least then it was so visually dynamic that at least my brain didn't have time to process that, like, oh, this is all fake. It was constantly bombarded by, like, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that.
The rattling of the cars and the frantic camera movements made you almost like I'm still in this. So I get that. There was some spotty CGI, which I just come to expect now, just from things. But yeah.
Yeah, but when you set the bar so high with Fury Road and then you don't meet that bar in the sequel, it's noticeable.
I get you. So what else, though? We've hammered the CGI.
To me, it was very disjointed. I like, we kind of talked about how it takes place in 5 different chapters, and I think that's
why I brought it up, so we could talk about the pacing.
I think that the pacing was they do a really, really good job of ramping it up, and then they start a new chapter, and we're back in first gear. And part of a Mad Max movie is it should be like a road chase, you know? Like, the whole pacing of the movie should be constantly finding that next gear and advancing the excitement, the entertainment, the action, like it should all ramp up.
Oh, you're talking about in a single movie?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. I may disagree, but I understand your point, though.
Not every movie. Just in a Mad Max movie,
I got you.
It should be like a car chase scene. Like Act 1 is gears 1 through 3. Act 2 is 4 through 5. Act 6 is
I got you.
Or Act 3 is kicking into 6th gear plus the nitro plus now my car is blown up. So what do I do?
Yeah.
And just this Furiosa just really didn't have that. I felt that it was constantly ramping up only to bring in a new chapter and then we have to restart that whole process again. And it was really disconcerting. It took me out of the movie in a big bad way. Like every time the title card came up, I was like, all right, here we go again.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, so you wanted it to just build, and I can see that. In terms of the action, they do take off to keep the car analogy going. They certainly take it off the throttle at certain points, and when it does, this is a much more character-driven movie. But
I would agree, but also being a character-driven movie, you could have cut maybe 15 minutes out of this movie.
Agreed.
And still had the same story. Like, so for example, we don't even see Furiosa as the Anna Taylor-Joy character until an hour into a movie.
Yeah, I think chapter 3 is when she comes in.
I mean, it's what, 45 minutes, an hour, maybe. Like
the first third of the movie is pretty much
the whole point of the movie is getting to the Furiosa character, and if we haven't reached that by midway point through the movie,
well, she's in it. She's still Furiosa, just a child. But I get what you're saying, though. It's.
But I didn't need all that. Like, I get that she had a shitty childhood. I get that she...
Did you, though?
Yeah, very much. Very
you're
much
just saying...
so.
Okay. You're saying before... Yeah. You're saying in this movie, I got it pretty quick. That, like, all right, she's tormented.
Yes. Like, I would have much rather the movie focused on the Anya Taylor-Joy character focusing on how her life got to the point it is and what do I do now. Like, once she met Predator Jack, that was the start of the movie for me, because that was her, like, that's her Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's her John McClane meeting Reginald Vell Johnson. That's the sage, that's the person giving you advice and guiding you through the movie, and it just took too long to get there.
Okay, so they put the meat of the movie in a different place. If you wanted meat and potatoes, you got... Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, not even meat and potatoes. It was a really, really exquisite entree that just kept going, or appetizer that just kept going, when all he came for was just steak and potatoes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, the salad's great. I don't need 6 servings of it.
Okay, so you're saying CGI, we got pacing of the movie, some of the structure and the length. Okay, anything else?
No, I think that's about it. And just, again, I think Anya Taylor-Joy, although she did a good job, was a little bit hindered by... She was trying her best to do a Charlize Theron impression.
I think she did a good...
it's a good impression.
Yeah, a good impression at that note. All right, well, here's what I'll say. Here's the things I liked. I largely agree with you on the things you disliked. I like to see the politics of the wasteland. I like backstory. I'm a big lore guy. Like when Fallout came out, I dove in. I'm like, what is the lore of Fallout? What do each of the vaults do? And I know some of it from playing the games, but that's what makes it unique. Those are the things that make me want to play in the world. Obviously, the machine designs are crazy and they're awesome.
Course,
and
right.
those are kind of they almost go without saying because it's a Mad Max movie, but it needs to be said that everything that you see on screen looks like it was repurposed from something else.
Sure.
Which really works in the sense of, all right, our new technologies have failed, so let's resort back to these old technologies and let's make these god-awful monstrosities, which is just awesome. It's just really creative, like, production design and things like that.
Yes.
It's an all-timer for production design.
Right.
Like,
I was going to say, it definitely looks like they hired a madman production designer to be like, okay, we bought you 50 cars.
Yeah.
Now what do you want to do with them? And he was like, well, I'm putting spikes on that one.
Yeah.
I'm stacking those two on top of each other. I'm putting big wheels on this one.
Or not not only just that, but the things that are in it. It has to be made from something else. Something has to be repurposed.
Sure, right,
like you
right.
can't just go
their crossbows, their clothing, their
the
weaponry, the vehicles, the way that they live, their houses, everything very much looks like reclaimed materials.
Right. So that was something I love. You got a big shout out to the production design, just in terms of the monstrosities. I thought the action scenes when they were still doing them were incredibly cool.
Sure.
I like I mentioned earlier the conflict. I can see how very much so when conflict arises. I understood the character's motivations enough, especially by the end with Chris Hemsworth. I kind of get like, this guy's broken.
Yeah.
This guy's broken and he's given up. He was actually probably a sane dude at one point. And you can tell that he took the path of this, where Mad Max, when he got broken, took a different path. You could see that, and I appreciated that.
There is very much that in terms of like Dementis and Mad Max are sort of not flip sides of the same coin, but like the inverse of each other. The very yin and yang.
Absolutely.
Of it, like whereas Max went more solitude and like I can't count on anybody. Dementis was just like, oh, I'm just going to control everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I did like the little things about the tattooed people that tell history via the tattoos on the
history
screen.
Man, yeah.
And I like that it kind of soothed Dementis' followers when they would tell stories about like, oh, and they had these giant buildings, and they would regale them with tales about like automotive car manufacturing. Like when you get a car and the manual's inside, like, and it's a V8 engine, and it had this, and they would rattle off
1800 power, 1800 torque horsepower. It had
and he would rattle off information like that.
6 V8s built from a Chrome block engine.
Yeah, I
built
like
in
that.
Detroit. He would literally just rattle off the owner's manual, just not even telling a story, just facts and figures about the cars, and people were like, oh.
Yeah. I thought that was a really cool addition to the world of Mad Max, so I thought that was a creative little wrinkle they threw in. Other than that, though, like I said, the action sequences really soar, especially the initial scene where she is the stowaway. That was full cylinders in your face, and the siege on Bullet Town was badass. Badass.
Her with the sniper rifle just picking people off one by one.
Yeah, and Dementis, just... the other thing I truly like is just Chris Hemsworth's character in general. I mentioned that earlier. I think there was some missed opportunities in the sense of I wish they had more time together to build something, even if it is terrible, to build that. Because, and this is my final point of some of the things I don't like, for better or worse, Furiosa lives in the shadow of Mad Max Fury Road. And it works, and it benefits it in some way, and in some ways it doesn't. And this is where I would disagree with you in the sense of, I understand why George Miller did what he did, and in my head, I forgot that, and somebody, I'm going to give credit to, somebody said this, and I don't remember who, so I'm not trying to steal it, but if they just ramped it up and ramped it up and ramped it up, and it got more cartoony each time with every movie, you've just transformed it into dystopian Fast and the Furious, because that's what that franchise does. Sure, is they just get more cartoony, more over the top. We have to do more than we did in the last movie, and then more.
Essentially, everyone turns into a superhero.
Yeah, and if you do that in these movies, you're losing the essence of what makes these what it is. So it does live in the shadow of Mad Max in the sense of like Mad Max came off of a 30-year hiatus.
Right, yes.
And my analogy I made earlier with the entire Mad Max franchise is that it's ultimately like Resident Evil. The game initially came out on PlayStation. Okay. And you're like, there's a lot of potential here. You do some things really well, but it's pretty unpolished. And
sure.
So by the time,
it's a little wonky. The controls aren't working out quite as well. It's a little hard to wield. I get that for sure.
So by the time Resident Evil 2 came out, you're like, you doubled down on the things that work here. That would be allegorical to Mad Max 2. All right. By the time you get to Resident Evil 3, you're like, this is kind of a different game than the one I've been playing. I can make my own bullets now, and in the first
not necessarily jump the shark, but like I'm dealing with a completely different world.
Yeah, it's not puzzle based. I can make my own ammunition now, and in the first one I was counting bullets, so we're kind of in different territory. And then this is where Mad Max Fury Road comes in. It's Resident Evil 4, where it resets everything, and unarguably you're like, this is incredible. Why was it not always like this? Like it should, yes, more of this.
Well, because that's the progression. Like you have to get through Resident Evil 1 in order to get to Resident Evil 4.
And so I would put Mad Max Furiosa, or Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, and it's Resident Evil 5, where it's and truly where
Resident Evil 5 was the one with the...
It's in Africa where you play as Chris and you fight the progress.
You're not fighting zombies. You're fighting like
a biological infection. And they run at you, the zombies, this time.
Right.
But the thing is with it is it's fine. It's a good game. It did a lot of... It kind of improved on some of the things in 4 that you're like, okay. But when you're getting
good visuals, good... Yeah.
But when you get done playing it, you're just like... I kind of still just want to play 4, you know. I like. There's nothing necessarily wrong with 5. You don't comparatively like which one is gonna.
But if you're asking me what my favorite flavor of bubblegum is,
it's Resident Evil 4 flavored bubblegum.
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing with this. It was really hard to capture because I don't think anyone saw Mad Max Fury Road coming. It was a damn near a dead franchise, and there was a lot of people like, it could be pretty cool. And then the people that saw it were like, yo, this is one of the best action films of all time. Almost bar none.
Pretty much the only reason it got made was because George Miller was like, oh, I'll just pay for it, and then if it does well, you guys can pay me back. And the studio was like, yeah, sure. And then he did, $60 million, and like, fuck, we got to pay this dude.
Yeah, it was what it was, and so it was hard to capture that in a bottle again. And so I guess I was expecting, in my mind, a kind of a Fast and Furious-esque kind of progression in terms of upping the stakes, which in retrospect I'm glad they did, and this is certainly, I think they knew, maybe they didn't, I don't think they would admit this, but they're probably not going to top Fury Road, so we have to do something different. Fury Road still exists. People, I hate the movie, the book was better. The book still exists, go read the book, so if you want Fury Road, go watch Fury Road. It's one of the probably on everyone's top 5 to 10 action films of all time. Some people probably number 1. So that's what
MKD.
Yeah, looking at you, middle daddies. And the only thing I thought they missed out is I would have actually liked to have seen this broken up into 2 movies, and I rarely say that.
Yes,
because I would have liked them to end this one right when the 40-year or 40-day war started, and pick up the second movie at the 40-day war.
Yeah, that was one of my big things where they.
I rarely say split it in 2.
One of the whole cruxes of the movie was Gastown and the Citadel and Bullet Farm all get into a 40-day war, and they literally wash over it in like 3 lines of dialogue.
It's a voiceover.
The 40-year or the 40-day war lasted for 40 days, and everyone was decimated and da-da-da-da, and like they're kind of showing like clips and a montage of it, but like to me that was the movie. Like, why would the movie should have started with Furiosa getting traded to Immortan Joe, and then followed her progression, seeing how he's running this patriarchy and he's got this breeding program, and she's just like, this fucking won't stand because I come from a feminist society where women run shit, and no, we're not going to do this anymore. Gets involved in the 40-day war, finds Dementius again, and realizes, oh, that's a dude that initially took everything from me. Just, again, like there was so many parts of this movie that, although they were great to see, they weren't necessarily crucial to the storyline. Right. And you could probably cut the first, at least maybe the first third act out. Almost primarily.
There's a way to tighten it up for sure, but I'm not an editor. I know that if you include the 40-day war, you almost have to split it into 2 movies. Yes. And so ultimately we're saying make a different movie, but I feel like the parts that they glossed over, I wanted to see more of.
Yes.
Like I wanted to, and there was a big, this could have been something more. It would have been, granted, a vastly different movie. They wanted to keep this as a character study. And as a character study, it works pretty well. It doesn't soar, though. I don't walk away going like, I watched the entire journey of Furiosa. It's mostly about her being the same person to achieve a goal, which is to kill Dementis.
Sure.
And her just getting more accustomed to the wasteland in the process of that goal. The goal never changes, which makes for a shallow arc in a weird way. So it's a character study, but you got everything you need to know about the character.
She never changes. Her goal is the same from beginning to end. She never has any sort of like... character development, not character. She doesn't. She has character development in terms of she learns
the ways of the wasteland,
the ways of the wasteland, and skills and survival. But like ultimately, her goal never wavers in terms of like, oh well, maybe Dementis is right, or maybe Immortan Joe has a thing, or just it's just
And that to me is where it falls short. It's just, like I said, you glean everything you need to know about her motivation really early on. And then that motivation is still, I'm going to kill this dude, I'm going to kill this dude, I'm going to kill this dude. And I'm not going to talk to anybody in the way. Because if I speak up, then I'm a woman and I go to this. So you kind of just, like you said, it's her just figuring out the politics, the wasteland, and how to be better at what she does and to make herself invaluable. And in the process, watching her acquire these skills is very cool, but it falls short. It's a shallow character arc.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But her good news is there's a second movie which her character arc does come. It just takes 2 movies to do it. So as I said earlier, one of the things I like and one of the things I dislike, she's in it for the long con, but it wasn't in the way I thought it was going to be.
Right. So. Yeah.
Anything else, though, before we take a quick break and then talk a little other Mad Max?
I mean, I think that pretty much covers it, man. It's worth a watch, but if you're expecting Mad Max Fury Road, you are going to be disappointed. It is not that movie, either to or against its benefit. You know, right. I can't speak for it. You know, again, I had certain expectations going into it. Maybe I'm a little bit jaded just going in with those expectations, and that might be my fault. But yeah, just it's not the same thing. Anywho, we are going to take a quick break from our sponsor, Callahan Brake Pads. Even in the wasteland, still the mark of quality. We'll be right back. And we are back from our sponsors, Callahan Brake Pads. It's still better than sticking your head up a bull's ass.
Wait, what? All right, we are going to talk about the rest of the Mad Max universe. Go back in time into a different vehicle, a DeLorean.
I would watch that.
Equally built out of madness. And we're going to talk about a little bit of old Mad Max movies, which we've touched on independently on the show before, but we're going to just kind of sum it up here on the Tales of Furiosa. So you, sir, we'll start with my good eldest duddies over here. We'll talk the first movie. What do you feel about the first movie? Because it's vastly different than the other ones.
It absolutely is. Of all the Mad Max movies, this is the one that is most unlike any of the others. It's a product of 70s movie making in terms of it's a slow burn revenge film, very much in the same vein of less graphic and less gory, but very much in the same vein of like I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on the Left or something like that, where it's a slow burn in order to have something tragic happen to the main protagonist, and then the remainder of the movie is just them seeking revenge. That being said, this movie it's the most dystopian.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's still a lot of civilization out there. They go out dancing at one point, and they like go to a bar and they go see like karaoke and see someone sing and stuff like a performer.
Like you kind of get the semblance of like there's still places with power and there's still places with gasoline, and there's some semblance of civilization trying to limp on. It's the juxtaposition of the fall of society meeting culture and civilization trying its best to move forward in the face of all adversity. Does that make sense? Like it hasn't completely fallen, but shit's pretty much well fucked at this point.
Yeah, it's certainly there's the last ditch effort, and apparently the whole premise of the film is somebody in Australia, there was a gas shortage at one point, and it was like a gas crisis in Australia, and I don't know the exact timeline because I don't know Australian history like that, but I think within 10 days Australia does not have a gun culture at all. Somebody pulled a gun and fired it in the air. And the whole premise was like, well, if that can happen within 10 days, what would happen in a year? What would happen within, And so that's kind of the sense of there's still civilization, but people are certainly on edge in this. And like nobody is willing to be a police officer anymore. And like the last line of defense is MFP, the Motor
Patrol Force?
It's either, MPF, whatever it is. Something Motor Force Highway Patrol or some shit. And so it's not very dystopian. It's still pretty. I mean, like I said, they go see a dancer at one point, and they go to a bar. But this one's a little too slow for me. It's a little bit El Mariachi kind of like.
I dig it. Yeah.
In the sense of like Desperado is a vastly different movie from it. But the real story is...
That's actually a really good comparison in terms of... Yeah, I think that Mad Max is very much El Mariachi. It was made on a shoestring budget. It tells sort of the basic storyline, and then once you get into Desperado or The Road Warrior or whatever, like it's just that story but expounded on a much greater scale.
The world is crazier, everything's a little bigger. I mean, there's like in Desperado, there's like mariachi assassins at this point, and that wasn't how the first movie was at all. But so in terms of taking it from one level to the next, it's a pretty apt description there. But I don't know, it's good bones here. It's really disjointed. I think a lot of the Mad Max films are, for better or worse.
I would agree with that.
And the whole, like, I don't really understand a lot of people's motivations. They don't tell you the whole movie opens up like, I am the Knight Rider, and he says a bunch of crazy stuff because he just stole a cop car. And like you're like, okay, is this normal? Is this... And it kind of is, but there's like 5 guys on a police force, and Max is thinking about quitting. And so he tries to get bribed with this new V8 Interceptor or whatever to try to keep him on board. But he's like, I got a wife and kids at home now, mate. And he's like, they're picking cops off, and I'm one step away from being no different from them, like we were saying earlier. And then like this guy, the goose, dies, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, the goose died. They got the goose.
Well, that was a thing that initially started to turn him, but then it really came to a climax when Toe Cutter and his gang ran down his wife and child because
she pushed ice cream in his face and hit him in the testicles. Well, you got to go.
But yeah, so yeah, by the end of the third act, when he's actually exacting his revenge and like picking off members of the gang one by one, it's just a completely different movie than the start of the movie.
It's a true origin story, and I can appreciate it for that level, as I never knew how we got the moniker Mad. I thought it was just something like, alliteration, Mad Max.
Right.
Sounds good. It does. But, losing your wife and kid, it does explain a lot about the character. So it's an entirely necessary movie in the Road Warrior franchise. And like we mentioned earlier, it has really good bones, but this one kind of missed the mark for me. I respect it, though. For low budget, doing your thing, something creative, trying to stick with these like classic, samurai-esque kind of films or whatever.
Yeah.
And the idea earlier, like he said, to tell a story without even being able to speak the language, I think George Miller does a pretty good job throughout these films of doing that. So there's a lot to like about it, but it kind of is all over the place for me, and it slows down, and the quote-unquote, it's a vengeance tale. He only seeks vengeance for like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
Like,
which he
doesn't. And they fly through it. They're just like, run this guy off the road, run that guy off the road, run this guy off the road, and then he runs like 6 of them off the road at once, and then there's like one dude left. And before you know it, it's over, and revenge has been exacted. And you're like, okay, he descended to madness, like he said, and I guess Goose did the same thing earlier. He was so frustrated that he went to go beat up one of his prisoners or whatever, and like it's like, oh, they kept warning you, you're only one away, and he killed it. Yeah, I don't know. It was a slow burn, and then the part that I wanted it to burn, like light the wick on, it was just over so fast. And
sure. So. But I do think that it is necessary in terms of it is a good origin story because you do see everything that's important to Max stripped away. He loses his job. He loses his civilization. He loses his family. He loses his partner. All these things that anchor him to his humanity, and they're taken away from him one by one to where he is left as a savage. He's left as like, well, all I have is my car, my guns, my dog, and the road. So, yes, it's a slow burn, but I think it's a necessary burn. Like, you do see how a man depraved of all the things that make him a man descends into madness.
I agree. It's still just disjointed, but I like the movie though. So no, I feel you. After that, we have one that's higher on my list is Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior.
Yep.
Which I like this movie a lot more personally.
I agree. I think that this may not be the best Mad Max movie, but it's probably one of the most quotable, just in terms of awesome scenes and memorable scenes and characters and things like that. I mean, like, who can forget Lord Humongous, like this iconic figure of just a hockey mask and this like wrestler body bound in leather bondage gear.
A bulging tower of a man.
Very bulging.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell what religion he is.
Yeah, no, he's an awesome character.
Yeah. And again, you have the juxtaposition of Max, a man who is just barely trying to hold on to his humanity, like there's the initial scene where he sees Lord Humongous's dudes just wipe out this vehicle, and they take the dude and steal his gas, and they sexually assault his woman, and this, that, the other, and just Max is watching the whole thing unfold, just completely stoic. He's not getting involved. He's just seeing his opportunity. And then once Lord Humongous's dudes walk away, he comes in and the dude's just barely alive, and he tells him, "Hey, I'm not here to save you. I'm just here for the gas."
And he's like, "You bring me inside the city walls, you get all the gas you want." Situation, which I don't know. I like this movie a lot more. First off, it almost, there would have had to have been some sort of major catastrophe or apocalyptic thing that happened, because there's still buildings and stuff in the first movie, and then immediately this is like, I say this word more often than I should, but I actually mean it, exponentially more dystopia in this one. It's, okay, we are on the brink of existence here.
The first movie is like day one of 28 Days Later. Yeah. And then the second movie is like 3 weeks into 28 Days Later.
I just feel like there had to have been a bomb that was dropped between the first movie and the second movie.
Like there had to have been some sort of catastrophic event to where, like, the world we knew before isn't the world we know now.
Right.
For sure.
Because it's a large leap. It really is. Which I think it works, quite frankly, because this movie, you get into what makes Mad Max Mad Max. And you had silly names, and Toe Cutter and the Knight Rider in the first one, and now you're getting Lord Humongous, and what's some of the other silly names?
Rictus Erectus.
Yeah.
I am Scrotus Maximus.
Yeah. So I like this movie a lot. This checks a lot of what I look for in a Mad Max film. And I think they took the bones of the first one and were like, we're going to double down on what works. We're going to make. And again, I like the world building, the knowing of like, this is Gas Town. This is what they have a precious resource. And like the warlord aspect is taken over. Instead of it just being roaming gangs in the first movie that just kind of start some shit wherever they go. Mm-hmm. You have like a more memorable like bad guy in Lord Humongous. So it's like, oh, okay, I get this aspect of now people are desperate enough to look for somebody for leadership, not outside of just like the pecking order of the gang, man. Like, you could lead us to be wealthy in Gastown now,
Sure.
And so I like the act of that, and the whole flying helicopter, the gyrocopter that comes into play at the end, and
it's my snake. I captured it. I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, and it plays well in how he sets up his car with a bomb to explode, and like that's a trick of the trade that he would learn by probably having his gas stolen at one point. And being like, well, that's not gonna happen, and it just shows what a badass he is and how quickly he's become. For lack of a better term, like maybe not a master of the wasteland, but he's certainly a proper student.
Yeah, at least capable.
Yeah. It's certainly
a contender to be dealt with.
Yeah, and so I like that movie a lot, and it checks a lot of the boxes. It has the over the top characters, the car combat in this one begins to really take shape.
Yes,
in terms of the automobile, like
yes.
The concept, which happens in a lot of other movies, of leading one set of people to a quote-unquote paradise or to a more reliable situation.
Or even just the road combat. Like, the first one, like, Mad Max was very much set in the sort of 70s chase scene where it was, hard cuts and quick cuts, whereas this one is very much long, desolate roads and long shots of cars chasing each other and dust kicking up behind them. And so, like, you sort of get this idea of just how vast and desolate the world is around them. Like their chase scenes go for miles, whereas the first movie happens within, like, city blocks.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, and there's also the first movie does a terrible job of explaining how much time has passed between anything. But,
agreed. Yeah. It's sort of this...
Yeah, but like the idea of just Max showing up and like, we could just kill you. And he's like, no, I have a set of skills you're going to want. And
yes.
kind of thing. Or when they come back, I'm going to be here to help you. And trust me, I know you want to get out of here. I can drive your tanker. Or I know of a place that he ultimately says, I'll go get a tanker that can get you and your gas out of here. And the little switcheroo at the end when he takes the bait and the Humongous's crew all flips Max tankers over, and it turns out it's just sand, and the actual people took off a long time ago, and they loaded it up in their vehicles and took off he was just a cunning ruse, as it were. I like that. So this one is pretty high on my list of Mad Max. So yeah. What else you got? Anything else on this one, or?
I mean, this one might be my favorite Mad Max movie, just because I love the ridiculousness of it. Although it might be overshadowed by the following Mad Max movie, which is even more over the top. Maybe to its detriment. It might go a little bit too far, but I still like a really good campy movie. I'm going to go a little bit higher on this one.
I was wondering. We're talking about Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Now, I do feel there's a bad marketing opportunity. Much like Revenge of the Nerds is the first movie in the Nerds franchise. Should be Nerds, then Revenge of the Nerds. This one, you just go straight to the Thunderdome and then beyond it. This just takes you beyond it. There was a marketing opportunity. They assume that whatever impact this had on Max the character in the movie Mad Max Thunderdome is irrelevant. They say you need to see him post Beyond Thunderdome, which also contains a Thunderdome in the movie. So
I feel you. Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah. I know it's really complicated for the non-Mad Maxer out there.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of a confusing nom de guerre.
I don't know what you just said, but you got heart.
Right.
Anyways, so Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. I got some notes on this as I saw this movie today.
Okay.
And I'll try not to spend too much time. Go ahead.
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
If you want me to just go ahead and go, it's not a bad movie. I'm gonna rip on it kind of heavily.
Sure.
I do like the movie. It is a lot of campy fun, but in my ultimate opinion, it's 3 movies tied together incredibly loosely. There's 3 acts in it, and it's like how they get from one to the other is the thinnest of margins.
Are you talking about the movie itself, or in conjunction with the previous Mad Max movies?
No, the movie in it. If you just no other movies exist, and you were this movie is 3 movies loosely tied together. One being he gets his vehicle stolen, and it's in Bartertown, and he has to then enter the Thunderdome in order to get all he wants is his car back, but he has to kill Master Blaster,
right?
Which he just has to kill Blaster in the arena, and then they send him to the Gulag, but the Gulag is apparently just being put on a horse and sent to the desert. It's not what the Gulag is. It's very misleading. It's again.
No. They spin the wheel. He doesn't land on Gulag. He lands on banishment.
Oh, he does. I thought it was Gulag.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then take that point.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It was poorly shot then, because the one thing I could see was Gulag.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Because I think Gulag was working in the, like, swine pits.
It's like a Russian prison is what I always picture with Gulag.
Yeah. That's the one where you're, like, shoveling pig shit. Yeah. Not pig shit. Energy.
Yeah. And so there's fun characters and stuff, but, like... And then it just immediately then he goes into, like, Swiss Family Robinson shit. And then it goes like, oh, yeah.
They're very similar.
It is, dude. It really is. And I'll explain that in a minute. But then it goes like, for whatever reason, some of the kids run away because they're promised to go to this special place in the sky, and he's the Sky Captain, World of Tomorrow, starring
Captain
Jude Law.
Walker!
And he's not. But then they run away, and at some point, he gets the majority of the kids back, and he's like, Bartertown is our only hope. When? Why are you going back there at all? at all. Like, what is this? You couldn't wait to get away from these kids, and now you're like, I don't know. It makes them, their motivations are the thinnest of premise.
These are my children now.
They escape from Bartertown, and then this is the part I like. There's a lot of it when they escape from Bartertown, and then the vehicle mayhem picks back up when they're on the train or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's when I can see how the leap from here to Fury Road began, because there's a lot of similarities on a more basic construct.
Right.
Like swinging poles, which people are dangling from as they fall into cars, which you see a lot of people using those poles to traverse the war rig later.
Yep.
In Fury Road. People being kind of taped and strapped down to the, which were the body bags in Mad Max Fury Road. Mm-hmm. Yep. So what are they called? The cattle catchers, or on front of a train?
Cattle catchers.
Yeah, cattle guards or cow catchers. People being strapped to the cattle guards and stuff like that. And so you can start to see elements of Fury Road come into play.
Yeah.
But so there are aspects I like. Tina Turner she's just fun to watch, even though her motivation makes no sense.
Yeah, but I love a good campy, goofy movie, and she is top tier in that. I mean, just Auntie Entity is so quotable and just such a memorable character. Like, and it's Tina Turner. Like, already she's bringing bravado and a certain class and a certain like air to the role. And then just to have her be like, okay, so we're just going to give you a mullet and wasteland costumes. Go to town. Just
I'm with all that.
Swing for it. Just go.
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking her performance. I'm just, or her reason for being in the movie is entirely fun. It's just like Mad Max goes in the Thunderdome and gives you what you want. The only thing he doesn't do is smash a special needs person's head in. Right. You know what I mean? Like, or some maybe he's mutated from the wasteland. I don't know, and he just has the development of a child. I don't know. Right. He doesn't smash his head in, but like, you've got what you want.
Oh no, yeah. Master Blaster has that line like, "Look, he's like a child," and Mad Max is like, "He kind of is."
Yeah, and so he doesn't mash his head in, and then because he says the word deal, he's like, "Oh, you know, Master at that point is like, what deal? Because she said he can never know that This is coming from me. So he botches that, but like, you got what you want. At this point, the throne is prime for the taking. Who gives a crap?
Right.
I guess because the law of the town or whatever, which is funny, because all form of punishment and civil order must come in either monosyllabic chants or easy to remember rhymes.
Make the wheel, break the deal.
No, it's 2 man enter, 1 man leave. That's the monosyllabic chant. Or break the deal, you get the wheel, is what Tina Turner says. So all things must fall under those categories, in monosyllabic chants or easy to remember rhymes, which is just awesome and silly. But
that's all I'm saying. Like, quite frankly, that's all I want in my politicians, is just something that's easy to chant.
Yeah, and honestly, I laughed at the Thunderdome scene because when they first do the Thunderdome scene and they enter and they're both hanging on bungee cords, the first part of that fight is absolutely the most realistic, where they bounce at each other and they just kind of, one's going down, the other one's going up. Yeah. They're slowly separating. Eventually it would just be 2 people strapped in like a baby bouncer, just slowly rotating out of each other's reach, like trying to kick and get momentum, but they're just
kicky feeding their way over to each other,
or just swimming around, like I don't know, just spinning around slowly to the point of nauseous. Like, that was the most realistic part. Once they put their feet on the ground and were able to bounce, but I thought the first part was really funny because it's what it was. Them barely hanging on to each other to try to stay upright.
Well, they do have the dramatic scenes of, like, you know, Max grabs the chainsaw from out of the wall and he tries to start it up, but it's out of fuel. And then he sees the fuel on the other side of the wall and he's trying to get to it. Meanwhile, Master Blaster is just swinging this big, like, halberd at him, like this big bladed instrument.
It just, them dangling there just made me think, I'm like, this would be realistic. They would end up just dangling out of each other's arm reach. Like,
or what happens when they, like, meet each other and then they get tangled up and they just swirl around each other.
One's like, upside down and, like, they got 2 Mr. Fantastics got in a fight.
It's like trying to untangle your headphones.
Yeah,
like,
from another set of headphones. yeah. That's what it would be. It made me smile thinking about that.
I live in a world where my headphones are corded and not Bluetooth and or wireless, because I'm just going to lose one of those, and like I'm not spending $60 on that.
No, I wouldn't either. Yeah, take my shit.
Sorry, I have to break it down for our younger generations.
Yeah, and so again, there's aspects I like. I can see a lot of Fury Road coming in there. Not sure why Watertown was their only hope. The good and the bad of the Thunderdome. I appreciated the Civil Order rhymes and chants. And then really, this is my question to you, Michael. In all of these movies that have kids, whether it be Three Ninjas or Home Alone or Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, why can these, especially in this movie, these parents or these kids don't know who their parents are? They've had zero. These kids would be absolute savages. They would be like child soldiers times 1,000. You know what I mean?
Just jerking off in public and shooting people in the head.
Oh man, yeah. But like, why can these parentless, godless children, they can commit acts of violence in the most whimsical ways ever, but they can't just like take a knife and stab a dude? Like, they have to have cartoon sound effects when you bonk someone with a frying pan on the face. Or in all of these movies, see Swiss Family Robinson, you're allowed to swing from a rope from up high and yell and go, ah, and kick a bad guy over.
Rufy, oh!
Yeah, and kick him into a pile of pig poop. And, like, these kids would have zero sense of moral code. And I've never understood why, like, you can show the worst child violence being performed as long as you throw, like, some cartoon sound effects in there. And, like, to the point where these guys, they're killing people. Like, can we just skip past it and just, like, they're going to panic, grab the knife? Again, they're godless, parentless children that believe in a man's going to fly them to fucking Chuck E. Cheese on the moon or something. I don't know what their belief system is. They would be stabbing and killing anything they could get a hold of, Michael. And I don't, that's where I drew the line, Michael.
So what I'm
hearing, am I wrong, though?
So what I'm hearing
Hang on, am I wrong?
So what I'm hearing is, in your opinion, there wasn't enough Coney-esque child soldier murder.
No,
that's what I'm hearing.
Kind of, yes. I just don't understand.
Why wasn't there enough child murder in this?
No, I'm not saying the kids get murdered. They just do the murder.
Yeah. Child-murder, not child murder.
My point is that it's so tonally different. Like, you can watch a dude's earlier in this, like, get run over by a vehicle, and you can even still watch a child murder someone, all right? Which they do, but it's acceptable in all these movies if they play a cartoon sound effect and they bonk someone with a frying pan or something. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. And all of these movies do that. They'll like have in like Swiss Family Robinson, they'll have some whimsical theme going. And this is a Mad Max movie, mind you. And it's like, oh, or in Swiss Family Robinson, like throw somebody to a pit full of alligators. And they're like, yes, one down. Like, and we can accept that, but in the world of Mad Max, they can't just be like, grab his pistol, beat him to death with the frying pan, steal the car. Like, that's exactly what would be
fuck him to death.
Yeah, like these
mouth fuck him till you come out the back of his head.
Yeah, so I'm not saying they need to go that far. I'm just saying as a filmmaker, why?
But I'm hearing that's what you want.
No, that's not what I want. My question is why. It just seems like we've fallen into this category of like, we can make wacky sound effects and it's okay. As long like, but you're still watching kids murder somebody. Like, it's beyond me, and this movie made me think about that, and I wanted to share that with you. So the next time you watch one of those movies, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
So what I'm hearing is this movie was beyond Kid Dome?
Yes. So those are my ultimate problems with it. Other than that, it's a good movie. I don't understand her motivation at the end, I guess, in the sense of
in terms of leaving him alive?
Yeah, why she just said like 10 minutes ago in the movie, like, all I want is Master. The little person.
Right.
All I want is him.
The engineer. Like,
yeah,
the one
kill him. She said kill everybody else, and she was pretty clear in that. And then once they all get away in the plane, and Mad Max is there to kind of, all she says is like, well, hey, Raggedy Man, ain't we the pair? And just leaves them. After just having shotguns pointed at this dude. And like, live and let live. Like, what though? And they roll credits on that. Like, what? I get you have nothing I want.
Yeah. I would say that part of her motivation was Auntie Entity is firm but fair. Like, and this might be a stretch in terms of characterization, whatever, but like, once her motivation for capturing Max and capturing the kids were gone, then sort of she had no reason to fuck with him anymore. And so why bother? Like, he's just as good as dead. Like, he's never going to come back to Bartertown. He's lost every friend he's ever had.
You said that when you banished him with a Chuck E. Cheese mask on to the dead. He'll never be back. And guess what? He's back because it's the only hope. Like, I get it. It's fine. I liked the movie, but it was just like, this is 3 different movies loosely tied together, like with pretty thin premises to get there in the hows and whys. So,
but might I also point out, it did give us reason for Tina Turner to give us an awesome soundtrack.
I'm not mad at Tina. Tina Turner is the highlight of this movie for sure, for sure. So again, I do like the movie, but it was fresh on my mind today, and I had these hot takes I wanted to say.
Okay.
So anyways, that was all me. What do you feel about Thunderdome real quick?
I mean, I love it. I think that it's beautifully campy. In fact, Matthew and I were talking the other day about Mad Max, and he sort of mentioned how you can't go from the first Mad Max into Thunderdome without getting through the Road Warrior. Like,
1,000%.
Like, you can't watch Mad Max and then watch Thunderdome and be like, oh, this totally takes place in the same world. Like, I think that there's a certain aspect of transition that happens between those 3 movies to, not necessarily that it makes sense, but you see the logical progression in terms of, again, like you said, like the Fast and the Furious movies, where like there's a certain turning point where like, oh, we're just going to do camp and ridiculous shit, and everybody in the movie is kind of a superhero kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, I think Mad Max was very grounded in reality. I think that the Road Warrior was sort of the transition in sort of seeing like, let's play around with reality and really explore the fantasy element and sort of the dystopian worldview.
Well, it's the world building is what I mentioned earlier with Furiosa.
Yeah,
Those are the things I like, but good.
But yeah, and then once you reach Beyond Thunderdome, it's just total camp and just sort of like, all right, well, we've already established the world, we've already established the characters, and so like, let's just play around and see what we can do within those confines, you know? And then realistically, he took it to a whole new level with
a whole nother level.
With
shout out to Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah.
I love that character.
But when he brought in Fury Road, like that was the beautiful meeting of camp and exploring what the world is capable of in this glorious, violent,
it's
visceral fashion. Like, maybe not leaning so much on the camp, but there are certainly elements of that, you know?
Absolutely. The quickly fast-forwarded shots to make things like more frenetic or whatever.
Yeah.
Like play it in 1.5 speed, him just even looking around to make it look like he's like a bug almost.
Or
the super close
or
zoom
even
ups.
you take the aspect of Mad Max was barely a character in it, and it really was more about the world around Max than about Max himself. I mean, like,
I felt that way.
To be fair, Tom Hardy speaks maybe a half a dozen lines the entire movie. It's all grunts and very guttural expressions.
I felt that way about the first Mad Max movie, the one with like, because the Goose took up like so much of that runtime. Mm-hmm. The Goose and the Knight Rider and the Toe Cutter. It was like, he's just kind of in it. And he's just like, oh, I just want to be a good cop. So yeah. Anyways, go ahead though.
But yeah, it's very similar to that. It's very much Max's reaction to the world rather than him being a protagonist within it.
It's Indiana Jones.
A little bit, yeah. Like
Indiana Jones, he doesn't.
The world is going to keep turning whether or not Indiana Jones is in the world or not. Yeah. Like, things are going to progress because that's the way the story progresses. And so, like, Mad Max being a part of it, I don't want to say he had no impact, but Furiosa definitely had more of an impact than Tom Hardy ever did. Maybe with a few scene exceptions. Like, there's a scene where he goes off and kills the bullet farmer and his whole ilk but it happens completely off screen. Like, we don't even see that. We just see him returning, and he's covered in blood. And Furiosa's like, he's bleeding, and somebody says that's not his blood.
Yeah, yeah. They do in all these movies. They do really cool tricks, those scenes of you have to shoot day for night, which means like you actually shot night and you just backed out the background. Because if you truly did
Blue filters.
Yeah. Because if you shot at night, here's the thing: is that these vehicles, they would not want to use headlights, as you would be able to see them coming from miles away, miles and miles away. And one of the other things, and this is why I like the world building and like the tactics of it all. Earlier in Furiosa, when Chris Hemsworth's character was sneaking up, or thought he was sneaking up on the Citadel, he had a non-potable water truck in front of everybody. And he was laying down water to wet the road. Mm-hmm. And so that way when they drove, it didn't kick up a bunch of dust that you could be seeing from miles. And like, it's the little things like that I'm like, I can appreciate that. You know?
Yeah. And the resource management of it all.
Yeah.
But it all builds into this world. We're like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So they do little things. And I remember that scene you were talking about when they drove up to kill the bullet farmer or whatever. And it's like, why aren't there headlights? Like, oh, yeah, that's why. You would see them coming. You're not sneaking up on anybody. So even then, if it was 10 miles away, most of these people are sitting on giant cliffs. You're like, hey, there's headlights over there. They're getting closer? Yeah, okay.
Right.
Keep an eye on that. Let me know.
Looks like they're 10, 15 minutes away, maybe 12 minutes.
Yeah, they stopped, and then there was a campfire last night, and they left the cars. Okay, well, they're probably walking this way, so be on guard.
Right.
So, anyways, what do you want to... Let's do this. Let's put these movies, there's 5 of them, unless you wanted to talk more about Thunderdome.
No, I think that pretty much covers it, yeah.
And we talked a little bit of Fury Road. We'll talk about that movie more on the podcast.
Sure.
So if you want, let us do what the internet finds so popular to do, and let's rank these movies in order.
Okay.
All right.
Top 5 list.
Top 5 list, baby. You're going to have 2 of them. So hit that like and subscribe button twice. Let's start at number 5. All right. You go first, my friend. And we'll do it and then just give a sentence or 2 as to why you put it there.
Okay. So I'm going to put the first Mad Max at number 5, just because, again, it is a little bit of a slow burn. It is so completely different than the other movies. Not in a bad way, but just tonally, it's different. It takes a different mindset to watch this than it does, say, like Thunderdome or Fury Road or Furiosa or something like that. A great origin story, a little bit long in the tooth in terms of storytelling, but again, I think it really does give a good example of the breakdown of humanity in terms of, you see Max have everything stripped away from him, his family, his job, his humanity, his sense of civility, his sense of community. And so you really do understand why in the future movies he is the way he is, in terms of just like, I'm a man alone in the wasteland and everyone is against me.
Very well described. A lot more than the 2 sentences, but we're good. We're good. I feel you on that one. So what is your number 4 movie on the list there, M. Daddies?
Number 4, I'm going to put Mad Max Furiosa Saga.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
To me, it was just, again, it comes down to, when you tell the story of Mad Max Fury Road as a continuation or as a prequel, there's certain expectations that I have, and the bad CGI, the disjointed storytelling, the fact that I think you could have easily cut 15 to 20 minutes out of this movie and not changed a lick of the character motivation or the storytelling. It's a little bit more, I hate to say it, like, it seems like they were going for a big blockbuster summer movie, whereas the other ones seem just like,
let's just make a badass movie.
Let's just make a badass movie, and it happens to come out during the summer.
What I just heard you say is chicks ruined it like Ghostbusters.
Not saying
no,
that
I'm just kidding.
at all.
No, I'm kidding. No, those are all very valid points.
But it is what happens when you put women drivers in.
All right. It's a bit. All right, what is number 3?
Number 3, I would say Mad Max: The Road Warrior.
Really? So Mad Max 2 is your number 3. Okay.
Yeah. Again, I think it shows the breakdown of society in a good way. I think that it's a much more quotable movie. I mean, you just look at the character of Lord Humongous in and of himself. Like, how iconic is that as a character? You know, just the hockey mask and the wrestler body and being oiled and sexy and dressed in leather. And, like, I'm not saying I had, like, thoughts, but, you know, they were there.
Yeah, we acknowledge that. We acknowledge that at least. You know. So that's why it's at number 3?
Yeah, and again, I think...
Middle of the road Mad Maxing.
Middle of the road Mad Maxing. It tells the story adequately, but it doesn't dip too far into the camp or the hyper reality of it all. It's this perfect blend of, I think George Miller really hit what he was trying to go for in telling the Mad Max story with this.
10-4. I like it. All right, well, what is number 2 on your list?
Number 2, I'm gonna put Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh,
just because
I knew it. I
do like the campiness of this.
I'm surprised that wasn't number 1.
I do like Anti-Entity as a character. I love, you know, if you're gonna bring in somebody who's even bigger and more caricature than Mad Max, bring in Tina Turner.
Fair enough. And I guess that only leaves one left.
That's going to leave Mad Max Fury Road, which I mean, I know I've told the story before, but I literally watched that movie, walked out of it, and was like, well, I'm just going to buy a ticket for tomorrow because I'm going to go see that movie again.
And it was a good call.
Yeah, totally worth it. I mean, I think within the span of 5 days, I saw that movie 3 times.
Yeah. Something spoke to you in that theater,
yeah,
sir.
For sure.
Well, cool. I guess on my list, do you want me to just go top to bottom, or
yeah?
I'll do it the other way. For variety's sake. Number 1 on my list is going to be Mad Max Fury Road. I think this movie is a masterpiece. I think it is almost across the board at the lowest end, it's got to be in the top 10 greatest action movies of all time. And there's an argument that it could be anywhere between number 3 and 1. You know what I mean? I would buy that. There's any arguments that you could sell me on with valid reasoning. So I think unquestionably it's one of those movies that, like, in terms of action flicks, the simplicity of the script, it's much like The Raid. Drive somewhere, turn around, drive back. Yep. Things happen along there. Obviously character developments and things of that nature, and there's wrinkles, but the overall plot synopsis, like I said, much like The Raid, we're on the bottom floor. We have to get to the top floor to arrest this guy. And tragedy happens along the way, and they execute it perfectly with vehicle sequences I had never seen before.
I agree with that. I think that, and we had talked about this before, but like the sheer literal moving parts in scene to scene in terms of machinery and stunts and just things happening on screen where you're just like, how the fuck did they film all of this driving down the road at 60 miles an hour?
Some 72-year-old in the desert just going for it.
You know what I mean? So here's what I've got. Yeah. Here's my vision.
All right, so number 2 on my list is actually going to be Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Again, I like it because it's simplistic and straightforward. This is what I think Mad Max really started to find its groove, and I kind of rock with this one. So, again, it's memorable enough, and again, it's pretty simple enough in the terms of I save Gastown by getting these people out of here and defeating an enemy. And which, when I say it's a simple script, for any movie, it doesn't mean that it's a bad script. It just means they've taken a simple concept and executed it brilliantly.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So number 3,
there's not a lot of chuffa. There's not a lot of like excess to that movie. It is very slimmed down. They've cut all the fat out of it in terms of like, here's the story.
Yep, and I think that is when Mad Max is at its best, and I think it found its footing between that and the first one. So number 3 on my list is actually going to be Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga.
Oh,
yeah. I actually
controversial.
I do like this movie a lot. Again, I wish it would have had more Chris Hemsworth, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
But I would be surprised. I'm trying not to penalize it for living in the shadow of Mad Max Fury Road, but it's going to.
Sure.
And I think it's a welcome addition if you wanted to add it. it's much like John Wick movies. As long as they keep making these, I'll keep watching them.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, I like the world enough. I like the whole reboot from what it was in the first 3 set of Mad Max movies into what it is now. It seemed like this has been dead for 30 years. Let's just revamp it. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, I lose my money and we never do Mad Max again, or 50 years after I'm dead, somebody fires it back up. Okay, like let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
So the fact that they recognize that and go, people seem to respond to this movie, and we want to give Furiosa a platform and stay off the internet about this. People, I know I made a joke earlier, so I'm not helping, and I admit that, my fault. But like, people are trashing this movie, being like, nobody wants why it's bombing at the box office, which bomb is a strong word, but it's not performing. Is nobody wants to see chick leads in action flicks anymore? Like, go fuck yourself.
Miss me with that.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's a great movie, in fact.
If you look at the history of movies, that's not true, because I mean, you look at the Alien franchise, you look at the Terminator franchise, you look at just any number of things where it's like, oh, strong female lead carries the entire movie. Like, yep.
Yeah, it's all nonsense. So I dug it. I really actually appreciated Furiosa, and I liked it. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was a little oddly paced, but I still liked it. Number 4 is going to be Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, for the reasons I mentioned earlier.
Blasphemy.
It's a little too campy. It's still a fun movie. Like, all of these movies are a lot of fun. It's a little too campy. It's a little too over the top. The silliness of the children being involved, kind of like, it felt like a different movie in the middle. Like, it could have been any one of those 3 stories in terms of, I need you to take this guy out who runs the underworld. That would have worked great as a Mad Max story. Sure. It could have been, I need you to get these kids home to somewhere else, and there's something in the way, whether you cross the desert or on the other side of that desert. It could have been that movie. Or it could have been, you need to liberate this little man who was a prisoner of Auntie Entity. Right. Any one of those 3 movies could have worked as a Mad Max story, and they just loosely tied them together. And it just doesn't work as well for me. Still, a lot of fun, though. I'm not trying to just shit on it entirely. It's a lot of fun.
Sure.
And then last but not least is Mad Max, and I can really just appreciate the simplicity of this movie. Didn't quite, just whether it be budget constraints or whatever, it just took too long to really, like, some of the plot things, they would just say things, and maybe I was just too dumb to follow, because I feel like I would turn my head and there was something pivotal that was supposed to happen. Sure. And then I rewinded it, and it's like, oh no, it's just inferred that, like, it's, and they don't really, I don't mind not being spoon-fed, but it just didn't, when I can't follow which is a pretty basic story of like, who is this guy again? Oh, this is little Johnny, who apparently, I didn't even know he was a member of the gang until just now. You didn't ever once explain that he's a gang member of the people that roughed up that car behind. Right. I thought the first third of that movie, until I had to go back and watch it, I thought that he was the victim of the people that was in the car that got beat up. That's why I was like, why are they arresting him? I had to go back and rewind it, and then they say some subtle line about it's little Johnny, and okay. Yeah. So it threw me off. So
it does fall into the trap of tell me, don't show, or it falls into this trap of it tells you and doesn't show you, which is not what you want in a movie. Yeah. In terms of like, they'll gloss over something in a single piece of dialogue or a single line, like, oh, well, this is how it ties together. And if you're not paying attention to that, or if you don't actually see it happen in front of you, you're like, wait, what happened? What?
Yeah, it was. I picked up that I missed something when they were like, when Goose freaked out and he was like, nobody showed up, nobody came to testify. I'm like, why are they testifying? I thought they were about to let him walk because like they're holding him. I was just confused. Sure. So they were like, and so. And then Goose wigged out, and I was like, oh, I missed something. And it kind of, there were several scenes like that I had to go, wait, what? And like, so again, like I didn't get that he was trying to incentivize Max to stay with the car. I was like, oh, check out this new thing. And I was like, oh, later in the movie I pieced together, oh, he's incentivizing him.
Right. But, like, hey, if you stick around, we'll give you a brand new shiny car.
Yeah. So it's a fine movie, and I'm glad it exists. Certainly, I'm proud of myself for the mariachi to Desperado thing. It's pretty
set the pace.
Spot on. So, on that note, that's where we would rank. I got Fury Road number 1, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior at number 2, Furiosa at number 3, Beyond Thunderdome at number 4, and the original Mad Max at number 5. Hit them with yours, and then we'll review Furiosa and get out of here.
I'm going to say Mad Max Fury Road at the top, Beyond Thunderdome followed by that, and then Road Warrior in the middle, followed up by Furiosa, and then tailing at the very end is the original Mad Max.
Well, there you go. 2 for the price of 1. Right. What would you review Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, my brother?
I am going to give it 1 Anna Taylor Joyless.
Anna Taylor sad?
Yeah, Anna Taylor sad.
I like that. Well done. Well done.
I mean, it's there, but it just kind of misses the mark.
It is a fucking bummer of a movie, pretty much cross. The only one having fun is Chris Hemsworth, but I will give it just 1 of Tina Turner's legs. In the sense of just 1 of her legs is still better than most people's 2-leg situation. But also, long as shit.
She does have some long legs.
Best in the business to this day, buddy. Best in the business to this day.
Proud Mary, keep on rolling.
Yeah, rest in peace to you, on the entity. So, on that note, go, if you haven't already, when we spoiled the movie, go watch Furiosa, go watch something. Right. Go watch any old movie. Find someone you love.
Talk about it.
I watched that. Let's do that again. Go watch a movie.
And talk about it with somebody that you love.
Let's do take 2. Peace.